Medical Dialogues, your daily dose of health and medical news. I'm Dr. Nandita Mohan, and here is what we have for you today from the medical world. Exercise reduces sarcopenia in rheumatoid arthritis patients, reveals a recent study. Rheumatoid arthritis and age are usually associated with high sarcopenia risk. Exercise is an effective treatment for preventing muscle mass loss in older adult populations. Sarcopenia is characterized by the loss of muscle strength and mass, leading to falls and even adverse health outcomes. However, it remains unclear whether exercise affects the muscle mass in people with rheumatoid arthritis. A new study published in the Clinical Rehabilitation has found that exercise reduced the risk of developing sarcopenia in elderly patients, and therapy effectively increased the muscle mass in patients with rheumatoid arthritis. Randomized controlled trials that reported the effects of exercise on muscle mass for rheumatoid arthritis were identified for this meta-analysis. Hence, it was concluded that exercise therapy effectively increased the muscle mass in patients with rheumatoid arthritis. The researchers mentioned that the treatment effects may be attenuated in those who have rheumatoid arthritis history for a relatively longer time. Face mask use may worsen the dry eye disease by decreasing the tear film stability. Although the country is settling down in terms of COVID-19 cases, the use of face masks and even social distancing parameters still need to be followed. One such research recently published in the Cornea, the Journal of Cornea and External Disease in October 21, has discovered that wearing a face mask reduces the tear film stability in individuals with moderate to severe dry eye. The researchers were carried out on individuals with moderate to severe dry eye condition. Tear stability was determined using an oculus keratograph. Two measurements were taken, one with mask and the one without. The results showed that the average initial knit butt with a face mask was 6.2 seconds, which climbed to 7.8 without a mask, a difference of 1.6 seconds. The mean average knit butt with a face mask was 12.3 seconds, which climbed to 13.8 without a mask, a difference of 1.5. The authors then further concluded that the use of a face mask is still critical in this epidemic, and patients with moderate to severe dry eye should not be discouraged from wearing face masks. Breastfeeding status and duration significantly impacts the postpartum depression risk. According to the Centers for Disease and Control Prevention, between 11 to 20% of women who give birth each year have postpartum depression symptoms, which is the greater risk for maternal suicide and infanticide. Given that there are 4 million births annually, this equates to almost 800,000 women with postpartum depression each year. Current biological and psychosocial models of breastfeeding suggest that breastfeeding could possibly reduce a woman's risk for postpartum depression. Results from a recent study demonstrated that postpartum depression is a significant health issue among women, with nearly 13% of the sample being at risk. Findings showed that women who were currently breastfeeding at the time of data collection had statistically significant lower risk of postpartum depression than women who were not breastfeeding. In addition, there is a statistically significant inverse relationship between breastfeeding length and the risk of depression. As the number of weeks that the women breastfed increased, their postpartum depression was found to decrease. An unexpected finding was that there was no significant difference in postpartum depression risk among women with varying breastfeeding intent. Therefore, the study suggested that breastfeeding is a cost-efficient and healthy behavior that can decrease a woman's risk for postpartum depression. Antibiotic exposure in early life may cause juvenile idiopathic arthritis. The etiology of juvenile idiopathic arthritis is very poorly understood. Previous literature has shown that antibiotic usage is linked with the occurrence of such a condition. However, whether the association is due to the increased occurrence of infection in such individuals, it is still unknown. According to a new study which has been recently published in the Pediatric Rheumatology, led that exposure to antibiotics early in life is associated with the later onset of juvenile idiopathic arthritis. The results showed that exposure to antibiotics during the early periods, including a period of 1 to 12 months, 1 to 3 years, and even 5 to 8 years, was significant significantly associated with increased risk for juvenile idiopathic arthritis. The odds of developing such a condition was 3 times higher in those exposed to antibiotics during the first 3 years of life, and more than twice as high in those exposed to antibiotics during the first 5 years. The odds of developing juvenile idiopathic arthritis were 78% higher in those exposed to antibiotics during the first 8 years of life. It was then concluded that exposure to antibiotics early in life is associated with a later onset of juvenile idiopathic arthritis. High maternal cholesterol in pregnancy can cause heart attacks in young adult offsprings. With the improvement in living standards and an increasing number of women with advanced maternal age, there is an increase in the prevalence of chronic metabolic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia among pregnant women. Cholesterol is one of not routinely measured investigations during pregnancy in most countries, so that there are very few studies on the association with the health of offspring. But a recent research published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology has suggested that high maternal cholesterol in pregnancy is associated with more severe heart attacks in young adult offsprings. The retrospective study included 310 patients. Of those, 89 were admitted with a heart attack and 221 controls were hospitalized. For all participants, data was obtained on the mother's cholesterol during the first and second trimester of pregnancy with that individual. The results showed that the average age of the heart attack patients was 47 years and that 84% of them were men. Patients were classified as having severe or non-severe heart attack according to different criteria. Firstly, the number of coronary arteries that were involved, the pump functioning of the heart. Third, the peak levels of creatinine kinase, with higher levels indicating more extensive heart damage. The heart attack was considered severe when at least one of the criteria were met. Maternal cholesterol during pregnancy was significantly correlated with each measure of heart attack severity. Hence, the observations suggested that a mother's cholesterol level during pregnancy impacts the developmental programming of offspring and heart attack severity in adulthood. That's all for today. We shall see you tomorrow.
Never miss a medical update from Medical Dialogues. Like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.